The June 8th College Baseball Picks episode on the College Baseball Experience is brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and Edge Boost, the bank account that is built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN and get a free Refs Are Terrorists t-shirt. Claim your shirt at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs for free today. And welcome in to the College Baseball Experience. Myself, Noah Bieniek, kind of run through the entire June 8th college baseball slate today. We had an action-packed 8 games yesterday. We will have there was one team that punched their ticket to Omaha. As I'm adjusting my mic volumes, I'm speaking a little bit softer tonight. It is 4:30 in the morning here in the household. But Coastal Carolina is the first team that has punched their ticket to the College World Series in Omaha. The first time they're going back to the sacred land since 2016 when they won it all. Very, very cool story for Coastal Carolina in year one with Kevin Schnall as the head coach. What else did I want to say to lead off this show? Auburn. I'm sorry. I hopped onto the bandwagon and they immediately get eliminated for kind of the same. They honestly pitched it pretty solid in the postseason. They just they couldn't turn to a guy in relief in this game, and that game 2 against Coastal Carolina. They got out. They were consistently in jams throughout that game 2. And they just couldn't really even get the big hits against Jacob Morrison. He dealt against the Tigers there, and that was one of the few bets that actually went right for me. I had a rough day yesterday. 2-4, lost just under 2 units on the day. It was like 1.7, something like that. Murray State and Duke, 7 runs scored in the first 4 innings. It was looking good. And they leave 17 runners on base combined throughout the game. That was astonishing. I think they totaled 9 runs in that game, maybe 10. That one didn't get across the finish line. Tennessee, Arkansas, bad pick. We even had wind helping us, and we still didn't get there. Zach Root with an absolute masterpiece. That didn't help the run scoring angle that I was on for sure. Marcus Phillips went pretty well in that game as well. West Virginia put up the best offensive performance that Cade Anderson has allowed all season long, yet they give up 17 runs. Unbelievable. Not really unbelievable because that West Virginia bullpen has not been great the last couple of weeks, but the offense is legit, and we learned that today. The under 11.5 was cooked in the 4th inning. LSU put up 17 runs in just 3 total innings. The 4th, 5th, and 6th inning were the Tigers' big avalanches. Griffin Curran went all right. First 2 innings, he didn't even surrender a hit. Then it was pretty hot and humid down there in Baton Rouge, so that looked like it got to the entire West Virginia team for the most part, especially out in the field. Curran only gave up I think 4 of those earned runs out of the 16 or 17 that were scored by LSU. It was 12 runs by the bullpen in 2 innings. It, I don't know, blows my mind a little bit. Cade Anderson just, wasn't himself. He did get, ripped by a line drive right on the left forearm, his pitching forearm. So that probably didn't help this under either. But West Virginia, I'm going to get a lot of shit for that money line pick, but they were pretty live. That's your definition of live. They give the starting pitcher a run for his money. They just couldn't pitch it. It was plus 255, 230, 240, wherever you got it for a reason there. UCLA and Coastal Carolina were our 2 wins. I talked about Coastal. UCLA, they loaded the bases like 3 times in the first 5 innings. If they didn't win that game, I was going to be pretty mad as well on that one. Roman Martin comes up with a huge insurance triple for a couple of RBIs there in the 8th inning, the bottom of the 8th. They go out there and win it in the top of the 9th. That was the day. 2-4 day for me. Not the greatest, not the worst. Thankful for the 2 wins, but tough day for your boy to go on VSiN twice and give out a couple of losers. What's going on to the chat? What's up? We've got over 10 of you at 4:30 a.m. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Blade's coming in here saying woo pig suey, and he also said that the Murray State Duke was a total of 11 points, 11 runs. I don't know if that's a I know the NCAA baseball Twitter account did tweet out points today. That was 100% a rough look. That intern probably got fired. In baseball, they are not called points. So, yeah, that's something that we are pretty anal about. Let's talk about the Sunday games because we've got 7 of them. So I've got to get through the show pretty quickly because 3 of them are beginning at noon, I do believe. 3 at noon. So whoever does the scheduling, I have no idea because we had like bang, bang, bang on Saturday afternoon, 1 at 11. There were 3 or 4 games going on at the same time early in the morning, in the afternoon, and then just none. Like it was very staggered at the end of the night. Truthfully, I'm not a fan. Just give me like 2 every window rather than all of them front loaded in the beginning of the slate. But we're getting that again here on Sunday. So let's just be happy that we're seeing 7 baseball games instead of 4. I am excited about 3-game threes this weekend in the super regional round. Let's begin it in the Durham super regional where Duke is hosting Murray State, but they will be the road team in this one. The Racers will be home. So based on, I went and tried to listen to all 16 press conferences and whatnot. There was a handful that I couldn't even find. Also went to, social media and whatnot to see if I could look to see who is starting in these games. I didn't find a starting pitcher for either one of these teams for what it's worth. I think I have a pretty good feeling it's going to be Isaac Silva for Murray State, who, they threw Nick Shuddy in game 1. Like I also kind of projected there, even though he did throw in the regional final game on Monday. Silva started that regional final game, threw a little bit more pitches. So that was the only reason why I didn't think that Silva would throw. Plus, he's been the SP2 the entire year. In 14 starts, he's 8-2 with a 4.74 ERA. In 76 innings, he's got 70 strikeouts, 32 walks, a 3.97 SIERA, 2.46 batting average against. His last 4 starts, though, he's gotten rocked. These are 3 postseason starts for him now. The Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, and then 1 against Georgia Tech, 1 against Ole Miss. It's a 9.76 ERA, his last 4 starts. So I don't necessarily think that Silva is going to go very well in this one, especially if Shuddy got hit pretty good early, because Murray State's bullpen actually did fine in the later half of that game. Whereas Duke, I thought the different looks all from the left side didn't help us with this over, especially because, Murray State against left-handed pitching, not the greatest. There is a little bit of a hole there. Against right-handers, they are hitting 326 with a 954 OPS. Against lefties, the average drops by 40 points. The OPS drops by 40 points. So Duke will take advantage of that every single day of the week there. Kyle Johnson looked to me like he was cramping up a bit in this game. Duke is guaranteed a game 3. So here's the thought process, at least that I would have attacking this game. Hey, let's give Johnson another day to kind of get his feet under him, because it was like a foot or an ankle or a calf, something lower body bothering him on one leg. So I think it could be Henry Satkowski, who has been kind of the Sunday guy in the back half stretch of Duke's season. They're really weird with a lot of their pitching roles. Who knows how many times through the order Satkowski's going to go? Possibly once, possibly twice, but probably no more than twice. He's probably going to give you 3 or 4 innings, and then they're going to switch up some looks here. That's just the way that Duke has been this season. But in 9 starts, Sekowski is 5-2 with a 5.04 ERA and 55.1 innings. He's got 51 strikeouts, 10 walks, a 334 Sierra, 274 batting average against. His last 4 appearances at a 386 ERA compared to that 504 season long. And at home, he has a 393 ERA. So just comfortable in Jack Coombs. Plus, you're not, I don't know what I was going to say. Plus, just at home in front of your fans rather than hostile ones. As we saw in game 1, hosting a super regional and or just hosting NCAA tournament event in general didn't really affect Duke. They came out swinging. It was pretty impressive. Totals 14. I like that over, but I don't love it because I was relying on Murray State to put up more than I think they did, like 4 runs only for us, 4 or 5 runs. What was it? Yeah, they put up 4. It was a 7-4 final yesterday. I was relying on a little bit more than that. I mean, they were scoring 8. They had scored at least 8 in all 4 of their regional games. I like that over, but I don't love it. I think Duke more of a parlay piece than anything for today here. That's what I'll go with for the show. And then hopefully, unlike yesterday, where I said, North Carolina is a parlay piece, and then I just didn't find another one that I liked, didn't even return to the parlay. It was a good thing, though, people, because I was, thinking that Arizona played pretty well in that game 1, even though it wasn't 18-2 score. Arizona comes back and they showed really good life. They win that game against North Carolina, and they ran up Walker McDuffie's pitch count. And I still think I have a good feeling that McDuffie's going to come back for North Carolina in this matchup against Arizona, but he did throw like 40 pitches. So if you're an Arizona fan, you have to be feeling good about that one at least, because they also threw Aiden Houck in relief. So they're going to have to go to that freshman Ryan Lynch. So should be interesting there. But to wrap it up, Duke minus 298. I think it's a good parlay piece. Let's jump over to that Arizona-North Carolina matchup that I had already kind of snuck my way into talking about it. Arizona wins 10-8. North Carolina put up 4 runs in the 7th inning to take like a 6-4 lead. And then Arizona puts up 4 runs in the top of the 8th to take an 8-6 lead. Just a lot of scoring in the back half of this game. Both offenses have put pretty good damage into the bullpens. Tony Pluta went pretty well for North Carolina, completely or for Arizona, completely shutting down North Carolina. But his pitch count, he did throw the most pitches he's thrown all season long. So not quite as confident in Pluta coming back and throwing on Sunday, whereas I know that Scott Forbes, North Carolina's head coach, said that McDuffie will throw. He has a pretty good feeling that he'll appear once again on Sunday, and he said he'll throw a little bit better than he did on Saturday. So if you're a bettor, I think that's reassuring. Like I'm a bettor. I think that's pretty reassuring. I'm a guy holding a North Carolina national championship future. I think that's pretty reassuring. I also am a guy that's holding an Arizona national championship future. So I'm kind of split on what I even want to do in this matchup. The projected pitching matchup for this one, both coaches have named a starting pitcher for this one. You're looking at a battle of freshmen, right? So Smith Bailey on the bump for the Wildcats. In 16 starts this year, he's made every single start as a freshman, and he's finished the season great. His last 3 starts, it's a 1.04 ERA. 2 of those are postseason starts. In those 16 starts, he's got a 3.97 ERA, 77 innings, 72 strikeouts, 27 walks, a 3.75 Sierra, 2.68 batting average against. However, on the road, he does have a 5.24 ERA, so that's something to note there if you think that's a little advantageous to jump on the North Carolina side. Ryan Lynch, mainly a reliever for the entire season until he started against Clemson in the ACC tournament, and then he started against Oklahoma in the regional final And that kid in 2 postseason starts, 9 innings, just 2 earned runs. For the entire year, he was a lockdown kind of leverage arm for North Carolina, him and Walker McDuffie. And now it seems like he's earned a starting role over Aiden Houck. And Lynch is 5-1 on the year, 3.15 ERA and 54.1 innings. He's got 68 strikeouts, 24 walks, a 3.08 SIERA, and a 2.02 batting average against. I think that North Carolina has the better bullpen. I think that their home crowd will be able to fuel North Carolina. They didn't necessarily lose that game. Arizona won it in a way yesterday. They're going to make Arizona continue to, they have to play a full 9 innings. You can't go out there and have one bad inning if you're Arizona on the mound and expect to win the game. And I just think that North Carolina is going to be able to capitalize on a mistake or two if Arizona makes one, and that could be the difference in the game. When it comes to the price, you're looking at Arizona plus 230. I think it's a little off. I think there is value on that money line for the Wildcats. Personally, with tickets on both of these teams, much further than just this game, I'm not going to play anything on the money line there. Total of 14 is really kind of, it could go either way because both of these teams have kind of knocked around the bullpens, already seen some of the better bullpen arms so far. So that should favor the offenses. Smith Bailey and Ryan Lynch, though, have been unbelievable down the stretch of the season as freshmen. And will one of them crack, or will they kind of be those really, really talented freshmen where they're oblivious to the big moment? There's no way to know until it happens. So that should be interesting. Again, a 9:05 a.m. start for the West Coast team in Arizona. It doesn't look like to me it's bothered them in the first 2 games, but still something to note there. To win the game, I'm going to pick North Carolina. If you're going to bet it, I think Arizona's got to be the pick at plus 230. And final pick, I'll go under 14. I think I've gone under in the first 2 games of this series, and they've gone way over. The unders do. It's just due. These are 2 really good pitching staffs. They are, and the offenses have had their way early. I think we get more of a pitcher's duel between 2 freshmen tomorrow. That's the way I'm kind of looking at right now. The other noon start time we're going to see is Miami and Louisville. So Louisville was up early in this one against Miami, and then one little pickoff at second base changed the entire, flow of the way that this game was going. It looked like Louisville could start counting outs, and then all of a sudden, like a tidal wave, Miami takes advantage of a couple of mistakes from Louisville, and I think they hit a bomb or 2 in the next couple of at-bats, and the Hurricanes take game 2. However, the longer that the series went, I thought it favored Louisville because the thinner that Miami's starting pitching gets outside of AJ Siskar and Griffin Hughes, they've struggled with that game 3 guy for a lot of the year because Tate Darius hasn't looked good lately. And then are you going to promote your midweek starter, Reese Lumpkin, into this starting spot, which I think they may do. Darius just hasn't been good down the stretch of the season. It's a 9.38 ERA in his last 6 starts for Tate Darius, the freshman there. Whereas, would you rather start a graduate senior who in his last 6 starts, same sample size, has a 4.20 ERA? I would go the grad senior in one of your biggest games of the season. Lumpkin in 11 starts, the midweek guy, like I said, 5.33 ERA, 4-2 record, 54 innings, 50 strikeouts, 19 walks, a 3.64 SIERA, 2.59 batting average against. Ethan Eberle is the guy that will go for the Cardinals. The Southpaw has 8 starts on the season. He's 6-2 with a 4.42 ERA, 53 innings, 50 strikeouts, 24 walks, a 3.88 SIERA, and a 2.50 batting average against his last 5 starts. It's a 2.96 ERA. This has been one of their more steady arms in the last month of the season. The Louisville Cardinals are going to be a comfortable bet of mine. I'm not sure if I want to go with the minus 188 money line here on DraftKings. I'll probably shop around before I tweet out my card in the morning. But minus 180 money line or the minus 1.5 at minus 120. I will be on something for Louisville tomorrow. So take your pick. As of right now, I haven't shopped around to find the best price, so I'm not going to fire out a minus 188. I'd rather go minus 1.5, minus 120 with Louisville's offense that I just think is better top to bottom than Miami's. I think that they have been explosive the entire season long. They have more elements to that offense. They can run the bases pretty well. They did get picked off trying to be aggressive, but that's you live and die by that. And I think that's an element that more so helps you than it does hurt you. However, we did see that hurt him yesterday. Should be interesting. If Darius is on the mound, I love this. If Lumpkin's on the mound, I'm betting it still. But just know if Darius is on the mound, I think Louisville's winning it by 5+. And if Darius is on the bump, I think they're winning by like 3. Total over 14.5. I'm smelling an offensive-minded game from, honestly, both teams. I think Eberle's going to go fine, but I also think it's a thin bullpen for Louisville. But I'm just smelling like 8 or so plus runs from the Louisville side from that offense today. I think the Cardinals are destined back to Omaha for the first time in a while here. Miami needs to go back. They haven't been since like 2016, I believe. But I think it's Louisville's time. And they're hosting. That crowd's been insane for the first 2 games. Give me the Cardinals. Checking in with the chat over here on my right. Chris Gomez says these are his picks. Helms saying, what up, Noah? Let's cook. Luke Martin, a little bit sad about North Carolina's Game 2 loss. Hasty chanting on the Wildcats. He said Arizona plus 3.5 there. Yeah, that's not a bad look either, right? Is it plus 3.5? Yeah, it is. Not a bad look for Arizona. That's probably the best way to attack that game. We got, chat rolling along here at 4:50 in the morning. We've got 30 people watching live on YouTube. Shout out to all you guys. I love it. Love that the game is growing, and I love that you're supporting us while that game and this market continues to grow. You can get all of our free picks and podcasts with SGPN for the Stanley Cup, College World Series, NBA Finals, etc., MLB, whatnot, on the SGPN app. Go over there, download it wherever you get your apps, whether it be the Google Play Store, Apple Store, etc. And we're also brought to you by Edge Boost. It is the first ever bank account that is built for bettors, ensuring that all gambling transactions are approved. There are no usage fees, there are no minimums, and you can get easy cashback rewards today. Use a 100% approval. You can also get a 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN, and it's the last week to sign up and get a free Refs Are Terrorists t-shirt to go with it. A free t-shirt, Refs Are Terrorists, over there on the sportsgamblingpodcast.com. The link is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs. And Circuit Resort and Casino in Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for your stay. The owner over there, Derek Stevens, runs a tremendous operation, and I do love that in Circa Las Vegas. It makes me feel like I'm at home because he's a Michigander, the owner. So a lot of the little quirky stuff inside there does, it like names of restaurants or names of cities, and also like the directions or whatever are names of cities and landmarks in the state of Michigan, but also just the entire wall of the TV screens filled with sports is unbeatable anywhere else in the world. You'll get a limo ride for the entire fantasy football league from the airport to the casino. When you arrive, you'll have a $5,000 tab for stadium swim and a hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates. You can also always get 15% off at all Circa properties with the promo code SGP15. Just enter the Ultimate Fantasy Football Contest for free at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That is sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. And we're back here on the College Baseball Experience. Myself, Noah Bieniek, running through the entire slate for June 8th in college baseball. The Super Regionals will see 3 teams punch their tickets to Omaha here on Sunday. Will one of them be Arkansas? This is a game. We've got 2 games that are first pitch at 3 p.m. Eastern. Arkansas, Tennessee. A big one. This game 1 did deliver yesterday. We had a closely contested 4-3 ball game in that one. Tennessee only had 2 hits, but both of them were home runs against Zach Root. Feels like the offense should be able to come around for Tennessee here. They're due for a better day at the plate, that's for sure. Marcus Phillips had a good day on the bump for the Vols as well. As I look to see, check one thing real quick. Nobody really burned out of the bullpen for either one of these teams. Either one of them could return anybody. Gabe Gackle was the one that had the most pitches out of the pen with just 25 for Arkansas. So Gage Wood and Liam Doyle are the 2 projected pitchers for this game by both coaches in press conferences. So Gage Wood, in 8 starts this season, has thrown 25.1 innings. He's got a 5.33 ERA and 50 strikeouts, 5 walks, a 0.31 SIERA. This guy just does not get hit. It's either walk or sure, he can get hit, but very little has been, hard contact against Gage Wood. He's been really great coming off of injury for the Razorbacks. However, his last 3 starts have kind of been his worst of, his comeback, I should say. His last 3 appearances, it's a 7.36 ERA. And for Liam Doyle, he's already facing this Arkansas team once, 5.17 road ERA. In that game against the Razorbacks, he threw 4.1 innings, gave up 8 runs, 6 earned on 11 hits just 3 weeks ago against this same offense that hits left-hander pitching really, really well. They're one of the best offenses against left-handed pitching, if not the best, hitting .352 with a 10.59 OPS. That was the handicap yesterday on the over. I'm going to go right back to that over with Wood and Doyle on the mound. Wood not necessarily in his greatest form. Doyle not necessarily the greatest away from Lindsey Nelson Stadium and the home fans that just kind of, energize him and that entire team. Arkansas may have pushed the right button yesterday, though, where Tennessee could come out pretty fired up with a flame under their ass here. I would not be surprised at all with the way that, Zach Root was treating a couple of the hitters. But in 16 starts this year, Doyle is 10-3 with a 2.84 ERA, 92 innings. He's got 158 strikeouts with 30 walks and a 110 SIERA, 178 batting average against. Like I said, I just feel like Tennessee's offense is a little bit due after a rough outing yesterday. They're getting Gage Wood, who I should look this up because one of the last 3 starts was against Tennessee. I'm surprised I didn't write it down. Let's go find out how he did against Tennessee real quick. When he saw these Volunteers 3 weeks ago, he threw just 3 innings, giving up 7 hits and 2 earned runs. That game finished 8-4. Arkansas won it. So again, 12 runs in that matchup. Our total set at 10 in this one. I like the over, and I think Tennessee's got a good chance to win it. Arkansas and Tennessee's bullpens, both fresh. It's really just who takes control of the game early is going to be able to win it. I think Liam Doyle should be able to go a little bit better this time around. But the handicap's that he doesn't pitch tremendously well. I mean, he just had an outstanding weekend last weekend through, 130 pitches ish, coming back on 5 days rest. I got a good feeling that we're going to see some runs. That was the handicap yesterday. I thought that Doyle had a great chance of throwing. He did not. I still liked it with Marcus Phillips on the mound, but not nearly as much as it would have been with Doyle. Now we're getting a lower total. I still think that the ball is going to fly at Baum-Walker Stadium. So give me the over 10 in this. I feel pretty good about the over once again. I'm doubling down. The entire series 3 weeks ago when these two teams played were over 12 runs. 12 runs or more in all 3 games. That's with fully healthy bullpens, all that shebang. So over 10, I'm doubling down on the Arkansas-Tennessee series, and I think Tennessee wins this game. We see a highly anticipated Game 3 between these two squads. The other 3 o'clock game is UCLA and UTSA. This game is at noon local time. UCLA is minus 135, UTSA plus 105, total of 12.5. And UCLA is minus 1.5 and plus 110. The projected starting pitcher matchup in this one was a little bit harder. John Savage, the head coach of UCLA, was playing coy. And I was unable to find a UTSA post-game presser. Come on, UCLA, help me out. Post the UTSA one, too. Don't just be homers. Because who knows if UTSA had somebody travel out to LA and then video it and whatnot. So I didn't see anything on who they would possibly start. For UCLA, their second best starting pitcher throughout the second half of the year has been Landon Stump. At home this season, just like this UCLA team, much better compared to on the road. 288 home ERA for Landon Stump. However, in the postseason, including one home start, he has a 10.47 ERA. That's one start against Nebraska and then one start against Arizona State. So not great. But in 16 starts this year, he's 6-1 with a 4.80 ERA and 69.1 innings. He's got 57 strikeouts, 36 walks, a 4.72 SIERA, which is not great, with a 4.8 ERA on the entire season, and a 250 batting average against. For UTSA, it's between Connor Miles and Braylon Owens. To me, the entire season, I have liked Braylon Owens a lot. He's honestly a very fun pitcher to watch. Connor Miles in his last 3 starts has a 6.59 ERA on the road. It's a 6.03. Not necessarily, if you're UTSA, you're not necessarily avoiding anything. You're just pushing that off one extra game. But I think you got to reward Braylon Owens with the start here. He's been with the program for a while. I believe he's a senior, maybe even a grad. His last 4 appearances, it's a 1.93 ERA. So he's definitely got Miles beat when it comes to recent form. In 14 starts, he's 7-2 with a 4.38 ERA in 88.1 innings. He's got 97 strikeouts, 38 walks with a 3.52 SIERA and a 2.16 batting average against. The bullpen's definitely better for UCLA. They've got some weapons that they could deploy here. They did use their closer, at least for the ninth inning yesterday. How many pitches did Easton Hawk throw? Yeah, he only threw the 9th through 12. They didn't burn anybody. UTSA probably burned their closer, Robert Orlowski, for this game, which is not the greatest news. He threw 47 pitches yesterday. Probably not going to come back and throw again today. Most likely will come back in a game 3 if necessary type of deal. So yeah, this one is going to be pretty interesting. From a roadrunner standpoint, like I think of Owens throws, I definitely like them early on in this one. It's probably more of a first 5 play. If Miles throws, I'm not necessarily loving the entire outlook for them on the mound. I feel like they're kind of vulnerable in this matchup with the way that UCLA has been sticking it lately. That offense was humming once again. Like I said, they left plenty of runners on base. Plenty of opportunities were left on the table in that matchup against UTSA yesterday. It's also going to be interesting to see which team's better on the short turnaround, because they did wrap up at like 9 or 10 p.m. 9 p.m. local time for me. So that was 6 p.m. for them. And then they're going to begin at noon for them. So they'll have 13 hours in between the games, which I guess is normal for some teams on the weekends when they have a Friday night game and then a noon start for Saturday or something like that. Talking in circles because I do not have a strong pick for this matchup. I think that UCLA ultimately wins the series, but when it comes down to this matchup specifically, like Landon Stump in the 2 postseason games, maybe the moments got to him, but he has pitched a lot better at home. Braylon Owens, I know, if you go out there and shove against Texas, UCLA is going to be no issue. But is Owens going to start? That's the biggest thing for me here. I think my favorite pick for this game is probably going to be the over 12.5. I think that's what I'm going to go with. And then I think the game's properly priced. UCLA minus 135 and the plus 105 on UTSA. Oh, I'll go Bruins minus 135, but I do not love that pick at all there. Brandon Rojas, he says he's having ice cream and listening at 5 a.m., my friend. That is a great combo. Hopefully it's more like 2 a.m. for you on the Pacific Coast and eating some late night ice cream. Hasty says some of Noah's baseball videos are doing thousands of views. It's pretty awesome. I agree. It's very awesome. The game is growing. The market's growing. There's more of a demand for this stuff, and that's incredible. And I'll be out in Omaha this year too. So it's all clicking at the perfect time. Hasty. Yeah. Yep. Should be fun. I cannot wait to watch some good baseball out there in the middle of America. And let me tell you about Rhythm, because you've heard us at SGPN talk about them before. They just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends as well. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Power Trends are updated daily, and they're exclusive to Rhythm. There are no touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app today, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter, because you know that we will be. Get your 7-day free trial today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And the college baseball experience is also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, and it's easy to deposit, and you can get lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head over to mybookie.ag with the promo code TCESGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That is mybookie.ag, promo code TCESGPN. And we're back here on the College Baseball Experience. Myself, Noah Bieniek, running through the entire June 8th college baseball slate for Super Regionals. We'll see 3 teams punch their tickets to Omaha this year, and possibly more. We could possibly see up to 7 tomorrow. Am I betting on that? No. And personally, am I rooting for that? Hell no. I want 4 games to talk about on the show for Monday. So, the final 2 games will begin with the 6 p.m. game. It's this one's going to probably end up being a standalone at some point if we don't get any weather in Arkansas, Tennessee, and UCLA, UTSA. So, again, one of these nights where I'll be kind of disappointed by only being able to watch one game at a time. You give me all of this at once throughout the year, and then just the staggered start is nice until a point. I just hate how they throw everything at the beginning of the day. 3 noon games. Give me 3 at 7. Give me 3 at 4 p.m., whatever the best viewing time is on Sunday or whatever. But I do like having the night games, but I prefer just like 2 games going on at the same time, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, for 2 screens rather than just having only 1 game. It just means that the season's dwindling down, and I don't like it. But LSU, West Virginia, the Tigers are minus 340 in this matchup. West Virginia plus 250. Total is at 15, and the run line is 3.5 in favor of LSU. Anthony Ianson is going to be on the bump for LSU. And man, oh man, down the stretch of the season, this guy has looked like the best pitcher in the country. His last 8 starts, it's a 1.20 ERA, a 1.73 ERA at Alex Box Stadium at home here. They are playing at home as the designated road team in this matchup against West Virginia, for what it's worth. West Virginia probably going to go with Jack Kartsonis. They could go with Chase Meyer, but in that Clemson regional, they started Kartsonis, and then they used Meyer in relief. So who knows what Steve Stavins over there is planning on doing with his rotation here. But they've got good options at the beginning of the game. As the game goes on, not necessarily anymore. So kind of learned the lesson with this first game with their ace on the bump and Griffin Kern. He threw pretty good, but it's probably a first 5 money line on West Virginia or nothing at all. Ianson on the year is 10-2 with a 2.50 ERA and 93.2 innings. He's got 135 strikeouts, 32 walks with a 2.07 Sierra, 2.09 batting average against. Kartsonis has a 6-3 record with a 2.94 ERA and 64.1 innings. He's got 76 strikeouts, 16 walks, a 2.66 Sierra, and a 2.36 batting average against. His last 4 starts, it's a 5.07 ERA. I think LSU's winning. I do think they are going to win this matchup. 15 is a lot of runs, but it is going to be pretty hot once again. Ball is going to be able to fly in the warmer weather. LSU's offense, found it for 3 innings. As I've mentioned, they have the tendency of sleepwalking. West Virginia's pen didn't look bad in the 7th, 8th, or 9th innings, but we know that it hasn't necessarily been great, and they were using guys that they barely use because the game was already way, way, way out of reach. So it wasn't a great finish for LSU's offense whatsoever. They just had 3 big innings. West Virginia kept sticking it throughout the entire game. They just gave up 16 runs. They put up 9, which is pretty impressive. I am not firing on an LSU minus 3.5 in this one. Parlay piece could be interesting because I feel like if they win, West Virginia should be competitive once again. I don't think they're going away. Personally, I think they are a quality team that's a little bit misunderstood. Honestly, it felt like Arizona, North Carolina game 1, where the score looks way worse than it was. because, they're kind of trotting out pitchers that they wouldn't use in a competitive setting, I should say, once it got out of hand. I think that we're looking at, once again, an over 15 as probably my favorite pick. LSU minus 345 could be a parlay piece. I'd stay away from the minus 3.5 personally. Over 15, probably my favorite pick in this game here. Yeah. And that, I think, leaves us without a great parlay, but that's probably going to be a second leg in a parlay. We'll go Duke LSU in a parlay to wrap up the show there. But we've got one more game to talk about. 9 p.m., a ticket will be punched in Corvallis for Omaha between either Florida State and Oregon State. Minus 115 heads up both ways. This has been a closely contested series so far. Florida State has honestly been winning the series by about, I would say 14 innings to 4. Oregon State really didn't have the lead at all in that first game. They were trailing 4-1. They walk it off in the 10th. And then today they led for 2 or 3 innings, if I recall. And then Florida State was able to tie it up. It was 1-1 for a while. And then they pushed across a couple on Oregon State's bullpen. Both bullpens should be good to go in this one. It should be all arms on deck, quick triggers for a lot of guys here. It should be all arms on deck. I just went and checked a lot of the pitch counts. So, this one should be a lower scoring game once again. 9 p.m. night game in Corvallis, the Pacific Northwest air. The ball just doesn't fly very well. And the way that both of these teams have been pitching, the way that they will be able to deploy a lot of arms in these closely contested situations, in any type of jam, there is going to be probably a reliever coming out, and they'll be playing matchups. Under 12 is probably going to be a really, really safe lock here in this one. And I like that quite a bit. It's Wes Mendez for Florida State. That's the one guy that I feel pretty good about, a projected starter. For the Seminoles, he's made 14 starts this year. He's 7-2 with a 4.35 ERA in 72.1 innings. He's got 83 strikeouts, 37 walks, a 3.52 SIERA, 2.23 batting average against his last 4 starts. He's been solid with a 3.70 ERA, and the bullpen has been bad for Florida State this year with a 5.87 bullpen ERA coming into the tournament. However, they have the right 2 arms available. If Wes Mendez pitches like he did against Mississippi State, shortens up the game a little bit, they'll be able to go with Joe Charles, John Abraham, and Florida State's in the position that they want to be in. If Mendez has to come out of the game in the 4th or 5th, it might favor Oregon State. We just haven't seen that in the first 2 games, honestly. Joey Vellini goes pretty good for Florida State. Jamie Arnold goes out there and gives them 6+. And we haven't really seen Florida State's bullpen truly get tested outside of the 9th and 10th inning on Friday. To the Oregon State side, I don't know who they're going to start. Eric Segura had been kind of a piggyback guy for Nelson Keljo to begin the year. He was solid in that role. He's since, in the final month of the season, moved to a starting pitcher role. And that didn't go well in the first game of the Corvallis Regional, where they lost to St. Mary's. Are they going to trot him out there with full trust that he'll be able to control the game for 4 to 5 innings and be able to hand it off to an Oregon State bullpen that's all right, should be at full strength minus Queen. And but it's still a 5.11 bullpen ERA, which is, like I said, all right. They've done pretty good lately, but throughout the season, not necessarily the strong suit. But I do feel like their depth is better than, Oregon State having 1 dominant or 2 dominant arms like an LSU, and then the depth can get a little shaky. It's more like that's their strong suit, where they've got like multiple different arms that aren't going to go out there and shove for 2 or 3, but they can go out and give you 3 outs rather than 3 innings. It's going to be Eric Segura or maybe James DeCramer. Kramer threw he threw 5 innings in a start last weekend against USC. So yeah, he's made 2 starts this season. He's 3-0 in 26.2 innings. He's got a 4.72 ERA with 28 strikeouts, 11 walks, 3.50 SIERA, and opponents are hitting 3.03 against him. Not necessarily the perfect formula to go up against a strong offense in Florida State. And if you're going to throw Eric Segura, he is 8-2 on the year in 5 starts with a 4.47 ERA, 54.1 innings, 72 strikeouts, 33 walks, with a 3.29 SIERA, 2.23 batting average against. It's just his last 4 appearances has been a 5.12 ERA, so not necessarily leaving his best impression on the coaching staff lately, and that's what has resulted him from going from throwing on Fridays to now in Game 3. I like Florida State. They were my pick in the series. Again, it's a left-handed starting pitcher for Florida State and Wes Mendez, who looked tremendous against Mississippi State. That Bulldogs offense was really good against left-handed pitching, and Mendez just looked like an even better dude than he has been the entire year. He was really good in that Mississippi State game. This Oregon State team has a little bit of a weakness against left-handed pitching. Against righties, came into the tournament or this weekend hitting 309 with a 960 OPS. Against lefties, 254 with an 832. That's a noticeable drop-off, and we've honestly seen that in the first 2 games. They haven't really scored proficiently against both starting pitchers, Joey Vellini and Jamie Arnold. I think that's once again the difference in this series, in this game. I think the Seminoles win it. -115 is a bet, unless you have like a Florida State series price, then just ride your series winner. But I like -115 Florida State to win the game. I like the under 12 at -115 even more than that -115 money line. So yeah, under 12 -115 for that game is where I feel best about. Yeah, I kind of talked myself into that Florida State money line as I continued handicapping that on this show. William Willever saying, let's go. He tuned in, says clocked in from the warehouse for his morning shift. And it's the best way to start the shift is listening to the college baseball experience. I appreciate that. Very kind words, William. Thank you for tuning in. And Diego says thoughts on UCLA. I think that's going to be a really tight game. And it's going to be one of the better games of the day. I had a really hard time separating the 2 teams. Yeah, Ryan Hasty saying, I just talked about that game. Just rewind it probably 15, 12 minutes. But yeah, I love that under in Florida State. Love the money line for Florida State, just the price in -115 with a established starter compared to Oregon State, not necessarily feeling comfortable with a starting pitcher for this one. Let's recap the card. We begin with a Louisville -1.5 for now. Shop around, find a money line. If it's -175 or even fairer, then I'll go money line on Louisville. Right now, though, I'll take that -120 price at -1.5. I just think the Cardinals lineup is much better than Miami's top to bottom. And then we're also talking about Tate Darius or Reese Lumpkin, the midweek starter, getting the ball here for Miami. And Reese Lumpkin's been fine down the stretch. Last 6 starts with a 4.20. He's probably, I would list him as like 40% chance of throwing, but he's who I would start. Probably a 60% chance of throwing is Tate Darius, who's been their Sunday starter for a lot of the season, or at least the back half of it. But his last 6 starts at the 9.38 ERA hasn't looked tremendous there for the Canes, Who they're going to throw, I'm not quite sure. I do think that the thinner that Miami's pitching staff gets from that bullpen point of view, Louisville's offense benefits even more. That's where their advantage plays up the most against the Hurricanes in this series. I like Louisville at -120 in that rowdy Jim Patterson out atmosphere. Louisville's fan base has been great so far in this super regional. I like Arkansas and Tennessee over 10 at -115. Yes, Liam Doyle is going to be on the bump for Tennessee, but even with his regional performances against Miami, Ohio, and Wake Forest, in his last, 5-ish starts, it hasn't been super sharp. On the road, he has a 5.17 ERA compared to a 2.84 season long. 3 weeks ago against this same Arkansas team, he only threw 4.1 innings with 8 runs scored, 6 earned on 11 hits. And then Gage Wood's going to get the start for Arkansas. He didn't make it out of the 4th inning against this Tennessee team 3 weeks ago. His last 3 starts, he has a 7.36 ERA here. So I feel like Tennessee's offense is somewhat due. They only had 2 hits yesterday. Both of them were tanks. I feel like it's an offensive atmosphere waiting for, a little bit of a more offensive suited game after a good pitching duel yesterday. In what was, the wind was blowing out. We had a ball that was hit 84 miles an hour get over the fence yesterday. I feel like we're due for offense here. That was the handicap yesterday, still is the handicap today. All 3 games in that series 3 weeks ago were scored 12 runs or more, and we're getting that total at 10. Give me the over. Next up for me, it goes to that Florida State-Oregon State game. I went from hemming and hawing on the money line to all of a sudden, I love the under, period. Both pitching staffs, outside of their first 2 starters that they've used, are at full strength, basically. They'll be able to throw any and whichever arm in whatever matchup, whenever they want. At any point when somebody gets into a jam, you're going to see a quick trigger. This happens in baseball in the postseason all the time. Some starting pitchers only go 2 innings in these type of games, and they really play matchups with bullpen guys. However, so that's the reason for the under. And also the Pacific Northwest air. It's thicker. Ball doesn't fly as well. At Goss Stadium, typically plays pretty big at night. 9 p.m. Eastern start, 6 p.m. West Coast. I like the under 12. I like it a lot. That's probably my favorite play today, for what it's worth. And the -115 on Florida State is a play for me because they are comfortable in, an established starting pitcher in Wes Mendez, who has thrown, he's started 14 games for this Florida State team. He's looked really good in a postseason start already against a solid team in Mississippi State that rakes against left-handed pitching. His last 4 starts, he's got a 3.70 ERA. And like I said, he looked good against the team that had really good splits against lefty in Hail State. Oregon State has much worse splits against lefties. 254 batting average, 832 OPS against Southpaws compared to a 309 average, 960 OPS against right-handers. So I like Wes Mendez to be able to control the game script long enough, to keep most of the bullpen out of it for Florida State. Like I said, if Mendez gets into the trouble, Link Jarrett's going to deploy a matchup that he feels best about. That's just postseason baseball. However, Oregon State, on the other hand, you're either starting Eric Segura, who's only started 5 games all year, or James DeCramer, who's only started 2 games all season long. Segura did not look good in his 1 start in the regional. Oregon State's only played the 1 weekend of postseason games too, so all these arms have really only thrown in the postseason atmosphere once. Segura did relieve in the one of the regional games against USC, so he did kind of be able to gain some confidence. He did go all right against the Trojans, but his last 4 appearances, it's a 5.12 ERA. DeCramer threw 5 innings in a start last week against USC. You're probably going to see him at least in some form or fashion in this game. He's only made 2 starts, though, this season with a 4.72 ERA and 26.2 innings. How and when they deploy these guys, it's truthfully up to Mitch Canham and Oregon State. But at minus 115 with an established starting pitcher, the better offense in this matchup, and we've seen Oregon State against 2 southpaw starting pitchers for Florida State already not do so great. Give me Florida State minus 115. I think it's a very fair price on what should be a small edge that we have with the Seminoles. That's every straight play that I like. The parlay is Duke and LSU, and that comes out to being minus 139. Not the worst thing in the world. I don't give out these 5-legger lottery ticket parlays, but I do feel like Murray State's pitching staff is not good enough. And also they have a little bit of a hole in their splits that, in game 1, Duke was able to kind of exploit it. Murray State only put up 4 runs. The offense looked somewhat human for Murray State here in this matchup against the Blue Devils. They only put up 4 runs compared to the 8 per game at least that they were putting up in Oxford. So Duke feels like a good leg. LSU, the more reliable team throughout the year at home, Alex Box Stadium, just rowdy ass atmosphere. I'm sure West Virginia loves playing in it, but they didn't love the heat. Steve Sabins was talking about it in the press conference in that one. I just feel like the bullpen for West Virginia has not been tremendously reliable for them lately. So LSU minus 345. I don't love that price single or even a LSU minus 3.5. I don't think this is going to be a comfortable win for the Tigers, but I do think it's fine for a parlay piece. So Duke LSU minus 139 there. We have Sawyer Ebert tuning in from Hawaii, saying it's not even midnight here. Why are y'all still up? This is what I do, my friend. Late nights with Noah, as some call it. So, but that's going to wrap up the show. So then I'm going to go to bed, get some sleep before the noon games. We've got 3 of them. I'll have Squeeze Play on in the room TV. Won't have to leave. It should be outstanding. I wish you all the best of luck to those who tailed the picks that I gave out on the show. I appreciate you all watching live as well. We had 45 of you live. The audience, like Hasty was saying in the live chat, the audience in general has been tremendous on these videos. Thank you all for tuning in. Honestly, it's been 1,000 views per postseason, per tournament video. So I absolutely love that. I appreciate all the attention that you guys have been giving me during this big time of the year for the sports. It's good to see that, and evidently on the numbers and everything, that 1, the show is growing, 2, that the game is growing. Absolutely love it. Thank you all very much for allowing me to do this, for pretty much a living, part-time at least. And then college basketball begins. And yeah, that's where we really rake it in, right? That's where TCE is strongest. So the college basketball season is only 5-ish months away. Crazy. But that's going to wrap up the college baseball experience today. You can follow me at NoahB77_. I'll be tweeting out an official card whenever I get that thing situated. You can follow the show at TCE on SGPN. Again, if you follow me on social media, you'll be able to follow, I'll be live tweeting some highlights or whatever, but also when I'm heading over to Omaha, a lot of the content that I'm going to be doing there, it'll be straight to Twitter pretty much immediately. So should be plenty of fun. I cannot wait. Thank you all for giving me the platform to do this. And I just clicked over to check out some super regional prices. Tennessee plus 240 to win that series against Arkansas. Not the worst look in the world. Probably should have done that earlier. But that is for the people that tuned in at 1 hour, 4 minutes into the show. Thank you all. This has been the College Baseball Experience.